Artist SEAK Claus Winkler. This video, formerly also known as SEAK. This video is an art performance, as well as a piece of art on its own, and it's part of my lifetime art performance. I had my first publication in 1983 on the 3rd and 4th of December at the Kinderpost site in the Kölner Stadtanzeiger here in Germany, in Cologne, with a sea piece, a German ship defending Germany in Europe against a ship without a flag. Shooting cannons, la-di-da-di-da, you know the story. So that was my first opportunity for a broader audience to show what we need to do. I used back in this illustration, in this drawing painting, early masterpiece, if you will, or I used the BRW flag of them, which they're Allied SHAEF, Strategic Headquarter Allied Forces Europe, dictated us as a system flag, the black, red and yellow flag. The reason was I was too lazy to paint a full blue sky, because then the black, white and red flag would have looked better. And on a white sky, the black, white and red flag didn't come out so much, so that's why I used the black, red, yellow flag. I was already a history buff back then, and also loved technique and painting and art, I guess, and expressing myself. So the name Klaus, it's like, it's probably the key element, one key element among others of you, where I became like what I was doing. Because Klaus means like, it suggests from the sound and from the meaning, something out of, something into, and like some kind of like off, or like, it's like an ambivalent thing which can go in all kinds of directions. Maybe I have to drink more coffee to deduct this name more. So in this videos here, I'm freestyling my thoughts without any teleprompter. All the paintings here are from 98 till this day, in process, if you will. They stopped being in process once I've sold them. I started painting also the backsides from my paintings around 2010-11 with like larger signatures, and then growing into full background pieces. I'm most known or most famous in the graffiti world, because there so that's where I have my reputation. The thing is that all around the world, I became internationally niche famous there. Famous, I mean, it's a subculture which then became very significant and steering the rest of the culture and everything on the planet. In the late 90s, I think I always paid my dues in respect to the artists which came before me and which inspired me. In trying to go around my own NPC, always telling the same things, I'm challenging myself with like themes for talking here. So I always create some value. This is, for example, this blue thing is a small e. Like my comfort zone the last 4 years became studying, thinking and studying for myself history, aside the victor's truth, within the pro-white camp, the worldwide pro-white camp. I followed on X everybody who's like evil, right wing, pro-white, la-di-da-di-da, how do you want to frame it? However, it's framed by the Bolsheviks or neo-Bolsheviks and the people behind them. I don't want to use buzzwords here. And I followed everybody I could get a hold of. Doesn't matter how bad, evil, blah, 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 you know. Don't want to, you see, I'm avoiding here also buzzwords. So this is my natural habitat and talking and thinking, seeing the world. But I'm trying here a different approach and talking about fun facts and positive as well as negative things about me. So you can decide how you want to see me, or if people talk about me, what they want to think about me. Keep in mind, I'm protected by Odin or Wotan and the Norns, and that there's a pattern in my name, which also came to my name SEAK. So if people do me bad, yeah, I can be happy, because then you can call it karma, but it's I think it's the North gods who then take care of business, and then those people are already on a path. Anyways, let's try to get my mind into a thought process, starting with like things which are unpleasant. Or fun facts, or whatever, you know, something, I don't know if I can keep it fun and light-footed. I've already said in the other video, I've never watched Netflix. I don't have a television since 25 years. I'm a history buff. I used to be a maritime history buff too when I was a child. I like all kinds of music. I tend to eat too much, which is obviously visible, which is also compensating. I love homemade bakery stuff and rural, landscape, rural countryside life or aesthetics. I'm addicted to watching the Omi TV clips from HT, but I also value his live streams, his bonus shows, and where he talks strategy and stuff. Let's talk about something negative about me. Maybe that brings me into a state where I then can talk about something positive. I used to have a scooter, like a Vespa scooter, in my teens or when I was in my 20s. I was partying for 1 year on after hours in 2007 or 2008, a lot, every weekend, to get that out of my system. I painted in 28 countries, circa. Or probably I will keep on painting in other countries too. I love Switzerland. I don't know if I would do white flight and rescue myself from the demography. And I don't know in which country I would go these days. From the English speaking, I could go to America because of my English, but I also want to have lots of children. So the question is also where I'm as a father most protected. I used to play a lot with Playmobil and Legos when I was a child, and with Matchbox and those little cars and stuff. And like probably this like bird's eye perspective, sitting and watching down and seeing everything, those like micro landscapes. which probably the aesthetic is visible in my style, which in my visual language. I had a guinea pig for 11 years, which I loved very much. And I have to tell you a secret, I still don't know if it was a male or a female guinea pig, because with guinea pigs it's difficult to say, but it never smelled bad. And they say that male guinea pigs smell bad. And I mean, I refer to him as he, but you know, yeah. The fact that I had a guinea pig probably programmed me also on on painting and on becoming an artist. Because this is like literally like the basic construction place or this of the cave. Or my grandmother making plates with cookies and cakes, delicious, like a master chef, a traditional kitchen, of course. So yeah. I mean, or my father planning electricity infrastructure here in the area and planning the web and stuff like that, because these are also plans. My great-grandfather, who had the Iron Cross first class and second class, as well as the front fighter cross in World War I, he had also had a beautiful handwriting. He made it from the gutter to head post inspector, which is like a pretty high rank when you consider you come from a daily worker working every day on a different farm. Plus, he married a woman from a large knighthood farm. It's like Rittergut in East Prussia and Silesia. I'll double check. What else can I say about myself? Everything that's happening right now with demography and politics was already clear in my childhood. And I'm subconsciously or consciously worked with my art to achieve results which are beneficial for people from Europe and from Germany, with people from European descent. I had the most fans, and I was very present on the internet in America and in Mexico. And in Mexico, I guess because of my name, and because people there don't read so much books, they watch more pictures, which was strange. I never knew why that was. In terms of fans or something, I just had Germany was probably third or fourth place. I had interviews and features in all kinds of graffiti magazines all around the world. I just painted around 60 trains, which isn't a lot in graffiti, but it was early compared to these days. And what we achieved with the spray cans also on walls in the 90s, the spray cans weren't not as close as good as they are today. Back then they were it was like painting with watercolors if you didn't know which color to use. When I was a child, I loved reading, so I was like a bookworm, as they say, or Bücherratte, Leseratte, which is like a book rat or like a reading rat. That's how they call it. And I was choosing myself what books I would read, because I was bored and not interested in the education of the school system, also from the atmosphere and the aesthetic in the content of everything. And I was probably already too independent and too lazy and too stubborn to follow what they had to say. Probably never really made homework. Just then on Monday, on the last minute, but never really cared. And I developed a conscious how to steer with my thoughts and energy into the classroom so that teachers would leave me alone. And then I realized that you can steer people with thoughts also. I used to sail with my parents on the Chiemsee, on Lake Bodensee, this is in the south of Germany, as well as on the Baltic Sea. Yeah. Of course, we had the German Marinereichskriegsflag on our boat because I demanded it. Yeah, you have to educate your silent generation / boomer parents. That was essential. As well as then at home, of course, also the imperial rising sun of Japan, Heiko Tenno Banzai, our weapon brothers, Waffenbrüder, as I say in Germany, as well as the South Will Rise Again, Stars and Bars from the CSA, which I also then later had on my jacket for a few years. That was also because I'm from a village where we had like a Union general fighting on the Union side. Maybe I had to, how I say that, clear the honor of my family, because there were like around 200 Winklers fighting, or maybe 300 on the Union side and just 30 on the Confederate side. So I had to make a stance, because back then I probably already had, as a child, the intuition who were on the right side. Plus I knew that already the USA are against their own people. But that was mostly like intuition and learning on an indirect level. I have the word, my name is like, it's really good in digging up intuition and hunches. So my subconscious know things without having read books or something, which is good and bad, because it is also good to know the detailed facts and stuff like that. But you know, the subconscious can understand patterns. What else? I was addicted to computer games, Amiga 500, and also the aesthetics. Copied games as well as a few board games. Yeah, Amiga was Amiga 500. Yeah, so I was like swapping games like crazy, boot blocks, intros. Yeah. What else can I tell about myself? Yeah, my small A is based on the Competition Pro Extra joystick I had, which is like this letter here, the A, in all variants. And so, yeah, it's, and as well, I was fascinated when I was a child and in my youth by the variants of tanks and models we had in World War II, and all the plethora of different variants. It amazes me, and it also fascinated me, because you have like similarities, which things are similar, but then you have like variants, and each speaks to me on a deeper level. So, and also on an aesthetic graphic level. Yeah, so I'm literally like trying to also create things like that without having any knowledge about design or anything or forms, just doing it out of intuition. So I'm kind of like digesting the memory of those aesthetics in my own style. Yeah, I admire all those like diorama and scale model artists or family fathers who are like doing amazing work. And whenever I see too much of all this or too much of good stuff, I'm completely overwhelmed, which I'm probably doing here with this video. I tend to show people, if they come here for buying my art, I show them, I learned that I have to show them like just very few paintings so they can make a choice and feel good about that choice. Because when you show them too much, it's overwhelming. I exhibited on almost all continents my work. I probably with my detail work reflecting my heritage, coming from a family of also engineers. These square forms are in a way also like fields, you know. This is like a field I'm plowing, and I'm coming also from from a farmer's heritage of like probably thousands of generations of farmers. So, and they are probably also plowing the same field, working in routine, working in every year or decade or season of the year, a different field in a different way. And I'm kind of like pacing the same thing intuitively. So there's like lots of intuitive work. That forefather from England who was a warrior, my Lithuanian Viking farmer heritage, my Huguenot heritage, my Austrian heritage, my Hunsrück Hessian is it Hessian? Forefathers, my Ruhr area forefathers, my East Prussian heritage, my Silesian heritage. It's all in me. I'm from East Prussia, or my blood is in parts from East Prussia, and they say people from there are super stubborn. For me, it's a quote, East Prussians are so stubborn that Westphalians are standing next to them and taking notes how stubbornness is done in an add-on, like seasoned North Korean generals taking notes when their leader is talking to them, and they're like schoolboys writing everything down and trying to show obedience. In that way, that's stubborn. I like to also play with different aesthetics and painting techniques, as you can see here. What else should I say about me? I had like lists of fun facts which were on my blog, which I recopy pasted on my Telegram channel. So if you want, you can dig in there and use it in what way to my benefit. Regarding history, I'm at a point where I can't say my opinion anymore, because I did research on Victor's Truth, and there are several movies which millions of people around the world are watching. So if you have an opinion which is considered leftist, I recommend you take the time and do history research and listen and read what those evil right-wing people are saying. Evil is in exclamation marks. And then make yourself an opinion. If you don't want to do that, consider it. You can learn how to debunk them, you know? I mean, we both know you won't do that, but anyways, just telling. So anything about my past and my perspective. In the graffiti scene, they made jokes about me that my handwriting or my textile looks horrible, which is true. Textile are things like these. Personally, I love text and I love watching text and stuff like that. It is for me, it has a certain magic of communicating, which, but But I also like all kinds of other art forms, or also landscape painters and plein air painters. Um, um, uh, I mean, aesthetically, I'm inspired also by the Amiga 500 arcade times, and also the MTV logo, with this like green alien space foam rubber M with the TV and stuff, and those little intros. They were like visual like highlights, which were much appreciated in the 1980s or 90s. I don't know. Was it like 90s? When I was 15 in Miami on the shooting range with a student exchange, my guest father, rest in peace, salute to Joseph, was going with me to the shooting range, and who I had the chance to, shoot a full trunk of all kinds of long and short weapons, which was beautiful. And when I was a teen, I was obsessed with the M16 and with Vietnam War, also from an aesthetic point of view and from a design point of view. I'm in the CNS group, which we founded in 1995 or 96. And I just realized, what realized is like the lie inside, but maybe like a year ago, maybe, that there's an NS in it. I'm completely blind to certain things. I always thought like at some point, like years later or decades later, that is like a CS from Confederate States. But yeah, there's an NS inside. Yeah, so that's like, and yes, both of my grandfathers were in it, of course. But I have mixed thoughts about that time in terms of experience, because no system is full of perfect. There's no perfect system, and there's always humans and egos also involved. But this shouldn't be appeared in any way in a negative form or anything. There you go. Yes. Yeah, what else? I was one time in East Prussia. I asked, or was talking with my father a few months ago about how everything here is developing, and then about Germany, and then that Germany is dying, and then he said, yeah, I should be happy that I had the chance to see and experience it before it was dying away, and I should be happy about that. I'm thankful that I had a chance. It's, the positive thing, no, not the positive thing, but I can rescue myself with the paintings in areas which are, I can practice white flight. That's a positive thing. What else can I talk about, which is about me, or which maybe interests people around my art? I never went to an art school, but when I was going to the art academy, watching they have like a free day where everybody can watch. It was always, and here in Düsseldorf, it was often the fact that the students there were like heavily inspired by me, up to like blatantly copying me and just using another medium, trying to get away with that. And it was that obvious that people I was with were making jokes about it. It was like, when that was also in a time where that was like common to copy me. It was like ridiculous. Yeah, so yeah, there's no gallery or something which represents me. I'm doing everything on my own. So if you want my work, you have to connect with me somehow and find a way. I'm cautious with my collectors because I experience also that my art sets free all kinds of energies. And because I'm not a salesman, I'm really probably I'm doing failures in the sale process, so that it can happen that buyers or collectors, so you want to call them, then in the end turn nasty and turn against me in a way like or become jealous or envious or something. I'm just telling you that please humble yourself when you are then after you have your paintings or everything, because yeah, you're lining up in a line of people who are doing that, and that's part of the energy of the painting. You know, you have to withstand that and redirect that energy onto others. And that's probably also because people are mad or something when they buy something by someone, because they kind of like become tricked into that. Though I wouldn't consider myself, I would love to be a salesperson or someone who's like good in marketing. I'm not, obviously. Of course, if you have social status and or the visual social status and people are standing in line, then everything appears like that. But I don't know. Yeah. So I'm also cautious with like friends or possible friends, because it can easily turn into envy or jealousy, or it can also be steered by me. You know, it's not just always the others. It can also come from me in terms of that I maybe subconsciously, you know, and then it just like pop, 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 pop. It kind of like spirals into a, you know, yeah. My aim is to have lots of children, so that dictates my decisions. But I also must, yeah, I'll say that now because there's like the system, the surveillance people, the political police, the leftist anti-white NGOs listening. I'm dedicated, or not dedicated. My frequency is brutal honesty. I mean, it doesn't have to be brutal, but blatant. Use any word you want to say. I'm self-educated, so it's like honesty. I mean, the name dictates it. So that's, yeah, that is how it is. Yeah. So. I used to love to go to the Freilichtmuseum in Common, which is like a museum where they put together like buildings from this area of Germany from all kinds of centuries and ages to like some kind of like village, like a hill full of little villages from certain ages. And it's a great place for escapism. So I used to love that. My favorite animals are also donkeys, though for family tradition reasons I should value horses, because my family owes horses a lot because of 5 months of going with horses every day, like aircraft dive bombers, Russian, Soviet aircraft dive bombers, or Bolshevik, if you will. And those horses will rescue my family. So my family had Trakehner horses. Uh, um, yeah. What else can I talk about myself? The last, I don't know, 78 years. No, the last 21 years, maybe. I was locking myself away, or maybe the last 26 years here in my studio, painting instead of painting walls. I mean, I also painted walls, but not as much as I could. So yeah, on all these paintings, or some of these, or all of them, but it's like more, were produced here. Yeah, and because of these small brushes and scale model brushes, it takes more and more and more time to keep on painting all these paintings and getting them more detailed. And even if I'm trying to paint like liberalism, degeneracy art, like those like lines which could be like Coke lines, I'm doing people a favor and being honest, because if you would be like a millionaire, billionaire, or whatever, cokehead, drughead, fiend, how you want to call it, you would say those lines are way too thick, so I don't use them. So yeah, so it's like there's like depending on how your knowledge is, maybe on colors, on words, on where words are coming from, and color knowledge, or form knowledge, or social knowledge, it creates a further deeper layer on my art and what my art is saying. And that goes beyond what like people in museums or so telling you. Similar to like leftist buzzwords with like racist, rechtsextreme, both Bolshevik words. I'm just saying Leon Trotsky, Lev Davidovich Bronstein, and the 60 million Russians. A name I knew already when I was a child, because I was watching a book all the time here in my grandfather's working office room, Our Century in Pictures, Unser Jahrhundert im Bild, and was wondering why the guy with that name and that haircut with these Bolshevik people were doing in Russia back then in that time. And then later I could read, it was like a slight process of not reading, consciously reading, and then reading, and then deeper reading. And because I was watching this book because it was here so boring. I mean, the cake and the food was excellent, and the atmosphere also. I was watching like Wilhelm Busch. But yeah, and that's a positive part, but that's a positive thing. So I like ingrained myself with patterns and with pattern recognition, and with a great overview on the universe and on the history. Especially because people back then had to communicate truth through the American censors of the re-education. Of course, they left out that they planned World War II and World War I decades before in the city of London and in Washington, D.C., or while the Titanic was sinking and stuff like that, which is then So, and when we were I said this also in the other video, I'm trying to get up with something new. I didn't say it in the other videos. I was one time in Porta de Alcudia in Spain on holidays with my parents. And one time, when in my childhood, in Bibione in Italy, and I remember we went there with a train, where you can put the car on, and we were going through Vienna, and I saw this old, not skyscrapers, but skyscraper-esque old large buildings. These are, for example, SEAK styles, and this painting is from 2001. Yeah, SEAK style, SEAK style, SEAK style, SEAK. This is when the SEAK is together, and there I had like a line of A's, and here's like an S, an A, an E, an S, an K, an S, an E. It's like miniatures, you know. because usually those things were like much larger, like let's say each letter 2.5 meters high, and then the right length. Yeah, what should I say? My parents or my mother told me multiple times, I mean a lot of things, that I'm holding up the flag. Ich halte die Fahne hoch. Du hältst die Fahne hoch. My parents, both my family lost everything in World War II. My grandfather, yeah, I mean, what should I say? In my art, I'm reflecting also my environment, you know. I'm here in an industrial area. My SEAK styles have these shovels from like the coal digging, or the shovels from the Memela steamboat, which is was a newspaper in East Prussia, in the area where my family is from, more or less. We are like close to the Nemmersdorf area. I have the A from Traken, from the horses my family owned in my name, as well as the AK, which stands for Auftragstaktik, that a leader has his own kind of, it's a superior German directive, that you can have your own creative way of getting your mission fulfilled. You can decide on your own, which makes everybody very independent. Also the lie that Mr. Kalashnikov was building the Kalashnikov, while in truth it was Dr. Hugo Schmeisser. Of course, probably because Kalashnikov was also involved, and they simplified the STG-44. And this like a lie is kind of like also in the word SEAK involved. Because, yeah, I already said that in other videos. I can also paint other things, you know. I don't have to paint my SEAK style or anything, you know. I mean, I feel like being obliged to do this, but I always like it when I'm challenged. And often I have discussed or talked with people who wanted something having painted. And and then we came up to this or that conclusion or idea. It depends on what people want. And if they have the option of acquiring multiple pieces, then they can go in all kinds of directions. I'm often in Münster and in the area around Münster, also because it's escapism from demography and from liberalism. The only problem is that the people are still in deep sleep because they can afford it. On putting their head in the sand. Maybe because Münster is also, the area is also similar to Eifel or to any rural area in Germany, a possibility to reenact East Prussia or Silesia, or what I think it is or was. To my dearest childhood memories are watching Deutsche Wochenschau, the German newsreel from World War II. So all this painting here on process, so I can imagine painting myself in all kinds of directions. I don't know in which. You have to see, or I have to see, I don't know. I sometimes, so often, have one word in my mind, and then when people say words, or do words, or pre-prime me, or however, I'm digging up words and dissecting words and deconstructing words for many hours or days to really understand it and how words are hitting in words and our words are part of other words or built together to create a result. Which is something I do for fun, or used to do for fun, also when I was going shopping for groceries. So I'm efficient obsessed. Since 2 years, I'm doing wake-up talks with people, 2.5 years, and to random strangers. There are, of course, art performances in case you want to come after me for some legal things. And this is art, Kunstfreiheit, art freedom. Also freedom of speech, of course. So yeah, that's my duty, It's like I'm trying, or my aim is to transform my life into an act of resistance, which I'm probably doing anyway, since every time, This is like, I literally had the stars and bars on my jacket and in my room. And had like tons of books about everything. It's like, hello. The word SEAK includes sick, as well as sick in terms of ill, in terms of, that's sick bro, then SEAK, and also seek, to seek something. What should I say?